Welcome back to Restaurant Strong. Peter LeSar here. And today we're going to speak about a really important topic, which is future-based causes. And future-based causes are really ultimately responsible for the growth and scale at sort of the deepest core seed of what drives growth and scale in the restaurant industry. And it is really only spoken about among restaurant leaders and not so much among the rest of the industry. So today we're going to get deep into this. Okay. Now, if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. Please give it a like. Every single week, we are now doing restaurant strategy videos where you are getting the chance to understand what our restaurant leaders do differently than what everybody else does, to peel back those onion layers and really find some competitive advantages for the restaurant business or businesses that you're involved in. Okay, so I'm going to go to a screen share here. And let's dive right in. So episode 4, Chipotle and future-based causes. What is a future-based cause for a restaurant? Let's start with that. Future-based causes, okay, offer a lens to uncover innovations in cuisine formats and in the language of thought leadership, okay? So most restaurateurs tend to look at their restaurants through the lens of the product that they serve or how they serve that product. In other words, service, right? Most leaders have a different type of lens that they use. And I'm talking about independent brands that are world-renowned, and I'm talking about chain brands that obviously are also world-renowned, have a different type of lens that they use to spot ways to innovate differently than everybody else does, okay? These are quotes from my book, Restaurant Strong, that came out last year that many of you probably have already read. Now, future-based causes provide you a lens to innovate differently, and this is the way that restaurants evolve into leaders in the first place. And so it's actually having a different type of lens, which shows us how to build into a direction other people are not building, and that allows us to lead, okay? A future-based cause is about truths and needs. So I'm going to give you an example with this chair for a moment. When we look at this old chair, what we know are some truths. We know the truth that humans like to sit off the ground sometimes, or maybe often, right? And this chair, in fact, is just an innovation away from a rock, right? Because humans before chairs would sit on rocks, as one example, right? And we know that within that truth that humans like to sit off the ground, there are certain needs that are expressed in this product, such as the height of the chair is enough that your knees are properly bent, right? And you're not having to put weight on your feet, right? You have a backing to the chair so it allows you to sit upright and be comfortable, right? And not strain yourself. And so every single truth around human behavior, or the way around the human experience, has a series of needs that it speaks to, okay? So what happens if you change that lens a little bit, right? Well, if you change that lens and say, well, guess what? Chairs are also about identity, right? Then you find ways to innovate a chair away from simply a functional thing to a thing that has different forms that speak to different types of people, right? And different desires that they might have, correct? And that's the key thing about a future-based cause, is it tells you, I want to develop chairs that speak to the human identity and speak to many different identities, right? That's a future-based cause. I want to develop chairs that speak to human identities, and I want to innovate in that direction. And that allows us to find new form to serve old needs. Okay. And this goes on and on. So if you said, I actually believe that chairs should be portable, right? Because people want chairs that they can take with them easily to different types of environments. Well, now you are speaking about a whole nother set of needs that you can speak to, right? The need to be able to set it in an unstable, sandy environment, the need to make it as lightweight and foldable as possible so that it is really highly portable, the need to have a place for a drink so that you don't have to set your drink down on the ground, et cetera, right? And so a future-based cause that looks at new truths and tries to solve old needs in new ways through the lens of those new truths is really how our restaurant leaders have evolved into leaders, okay? Category leaders, okay, like Chipotle, who we're going to talk about today as a fast casual category leader, don't always offer the highest quality of food or service, right? They don't always offer the highest quality food or service. There's really nobody or very few people that would say Chipotle offers the absolute best burrito in the world. Many people love their burritos, but it's so highly subjective, and many people have their other local favorites, right? So Chipotle didn't win off of the best burrito. They didn't win off the best service, right? There are many restaurants with a lot more service than they have, right? And so you don't get to be a leader in our industry, and leaders come about because they are growing in certain directions, right? By just owning great food and great service, because that is not enough to really differentiate you compared to everybody else, even though most independent restaurants will cite their food and their service as their differentiation, right? But it doesn't lead to leadership, okay? They always win, leaders always win by serving specific needs better than everyone else does, right? And we just saw the evidence of the chairs as the truth changed, you could find ways to serve basic human needs in better ways for that given truth, okay? They also win by deconstructing truths to find original ideas and approaches, right? So this is this combination of deconstructing old truths. A chair isn't just a functional thing, but it's about identity. To find original ideas and approaches, the pink chair, right? Or it's not just about sitting inside, it's about being able to take your seat with you. That's deconstructing an old truth, right? To find original ideas and approaches around portability, right? And this applies to restaurants as well, okay? And most of us will never catch on to it. And so stopping and taking notes, rewatching this video, taking notes, using this in your life, in your restaurant life, are really important. So Chipotle's future-based cause. And the reason I share this image is you just see a restaurant, right? You see four walls, you see some chairs, some tables, some signage. So how is it really differentiated from every other restaurant that has tables and chairs and signage and windows and a menu and so forth, right? It differentiates itself with a future-based cause, right? So as quoted by Steve Ells, the founder of Chipotle, if we really want to change the way Americans eat, we need to make delicious, sustainably raised food accessible to everyone, okay? So he wanted to change the way Americans eat, and we'll get into that in a moment, because within that is his future-based cause. And to do that, to change the way Americans eat, he wanted to bring sustainably raised food and make it accessible to everyone, not just to people who could afford it, but to people who could afford just fast food meals or similarly priced meals to fast food meals, right? The traditional fast food model is built on buying the cheapest ingredients, and that usually means poor quality, heavily processed food. So he's building this case of juxtaposition of what he is thinking, right? And that is, there's an old truth that if you want your food fast, it's going to come from heavily processed foods, right? And he's going to deconstruct that, right, with sustainably raised foods that are also accessible to everybody, okay? And that is the new truth that he is offering, right? And so Chipotle's future-based cause, as Steve Ells said very clearly, we want to make the old fast food model irrelevant. We want to make the old fast food model irrelevant. We want to deconstruct what fast is all about, right? By getting rid of processed food and bringing in real sustainable ingredients into the fast space, okay? That is his deconstruction, okay, of truths to find a future-based cause that they have worked on for decades. That's why I say future-based, because it started at the outset and they have worked on it for decades, okay? So if you go to Chipotle's website, and you've been, ever since they've had a website, you've been able to see very similar language. They say things like, we believe that food has the power to change the world, up top or at the bottom. This isn't just food for thought, it's thought for food, because manufactured processed food in the fast food industry is not really filled with thought around solving human health and human wellness, okay, and taking care of our planet and so forth. And we do it by being real. We do it by focusing on real ingredients. So this is how he expresses this on a consumer basis. But you can also pull up 3 very recent press releases, and you go back and look at all the press releases over many years of Chipotle, and time and again, they are telling you how they are innovating into this new future-based cause that they had years ago that they continue to evolve. Okay, so you look at the press release on the left, just from a couple months ago, $50 million new venture fund, Cultivate Next. And this is about them investing in startups that among them are those that are working on food with integrity, okay? Food that is all about real ingredients, right? And so they're constantly trying to find ways to innovate in that sector, and they're investing in third parties who have ideas that they think that they can foster and develop. In the middle, Chipotle announces 2022 environmental, social, and governance goals tied to executive compensation. So they are telling their leaders, CEO, CFO, etc., that your compensation is in part dependent on you hitting our environmental goals around food with integrity, right? And you go to the right, Chipotle sets science-based climate goals to reduce its carbon emissions 50% by 2030. This is from November 2021. So these are all very recent press releases, all focused around protecting the environment, reducing contaminants, innovating into ways that allow us to bring more real food and better real food into a fast service restaurant. Okay, so that they can what? So that they can look at ways of making fast food as we know it irrelevant, okay? Now, they don't say, we will build the best burrito, right? That's what many independent restaurateurs would say. And they don't say they will provide the best service, which is what independent restaurateurs tend to say, right? Their future-based cause is we want to make the old fast food model irrelevant. So they have a different type of lens that allows them to think about innovation in ways that people who are focused just on food and service alone are not able to think about, okay? And if you don't have a lens like that, then you don't evolve into a leader. You have a lens that gives you a mindset that is very similar to 97% of restaurant brands out there. It does not allow you to emerge and evolve as a leader if it's just product and service focused, okay? It has to be truth and need led, okay? That's it for today. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel. This is just episode 4. There are many more strategy videos coming in the future, week by week. And if you like this video, please also give it a like, and we will see you next week.